everyone. Welcome to this new episode of our Student Spotlight series, where we are able to showcase some of the work our past students have done. I'm Charlotte, one of the outreach coordinators here at CCIR, and it's our pleasure today to have Alan with us, who did our one-on-one mentorship. So firstly, can you just introduce yourself? So tell us where you're from, what year you are in school, and then what your academic interests are.
Okay, so my name is Kyusung Lee, but you can also call me Alan. I am a student from Japan, and I'm really interested in topics of computer science, especially artificial intelligence. I'm currently researching with CCIR on utilizing large language models to help analyze data from Cine-MRI and such medical data.
Great. And then what made you seek out CCIR?
So I was actually introduced about CCR from one of my friends who participated in Future Scholar program, I believe, and he recommended me about it because he got to meet out with new people. He could like research topics that he was like passionate about, and after hearing about it and doing some brief background in, research, I realized it'll be like a wonderful opportunity if I can um do similar things because I didn't have much experience with working with um people of like PhD degrees or people who are really experts in fields that I'm interested in. So I was really happy when I was told that I could, participate in the one-on-one research program.
Great. And then with your one-on-one mentorship, can you just give us a general overview of what the course was about and what you looked into?
So one-on-one mentorship program, it's one of those programs where you can like, there's a high level of customizability. So, um, the first encounter was actually me choosing like the schedules and what I want to talk about. And I had a brief meeting with one of my mentors, and I talked about how I wanted to study LLMs. And after that, I would just went back and forth with my mentor, and we decided on the schedule. We decided on how much lecture versus practicals I wanted to do, and after that, we just did our lesson.
Nice. And what interested you in taking this course or learning more about that topic?
Oh, so as I talked briefly earlier, my topic is on utilizing LLMs for medical research and medical purposes. And one of the main motivators behind this was so as you know, LLMs are now, basically everywhere in our life. There's like ChatGPT, there's like so many different or like applications of artificial intelligence. And one of those applications that I found really interested in was using these large language models for medical purposes. Uh, it was unfortunate. It was unfortunate to me when I realized that even though we have like many technologies that would allow utilization of a lot of medical data, we like a lot of people can't actually get hands on that utility because of things like cost and lack of availability. And I realized that using things like large language models, which are way more affordable compared to things like having an actual doctor who are trained to analyze these data, I realized that it will allow for more people to um, at least get more benefit from all these wonderful technology around us.
Interesting. And did you have any experience in school before, either with LLMs or the application into healthcare?
So I haven't had a formal education, so from my schools or um, things like that on computer science or things like MRIs. But I've been through different courses through like my own self-studying or taking uh like online courses, I guess, on. And so I kind of taught myself how to do a lot of these things.
Nice. Okay, now we're going to shift to discussing your specific research paper. So could you walk us through what your topic was and as well as your research methods and kind of research process?
All right. So my research paper is on how I can fine tune a large language model so that it can analyze data from thing called Cine-MRI. For those of you who don't know what Cine-MRI is, it's a special type of MRI where instead of just taking the 3D scan of your body, it also takes into account the temporal dimension. So it takes MRI through some distances of some long period of time or short period of time and see how inside of your body, things like your heart or your joint kind of like changes according to time. And by tracking this kind of movement, theoretically, you can learn more about what kind of condition the person has. So my goal is to fine tune this LLM into analyzing and giving us more info into what condition this person has based on the Cine-MRI data they took.
Interesting. And how did you decide on this topic? Did your mentor kind of help guide you through that?
So I narrowed down the field of like medical and computer science because partly because my mentor was also really experienced in using computer science in for medical research and also my past experiences with being passionate about utility of computer science in the medical field. And after I researched about a lot of topics that were already been explored by other people, I found out that there are many niche sectors within the medical research that people didn't really get like researched into because it was kind of niche. Like nobody knows what Cine-MRI is. Nobody knows what like these specific niche topics are. So there's a lot of unexplored areas, even outside things like Cine-MRI, that can definitely get benefited from a lot of research attention. So yeah, Cine-MRI just happened to be one of the things that were unexplored.
Interesting. And then can you walk us through your findings?
Right. So, as I briefly talked, my goal was to create a large language model through fine tuning process of fine tuning, so that it can analyze and tell us more about what a person's health condition is based on Cine-MRI. So, a lot of interesting and technical findings were made. One of the most significant outcome, I believe, is how flexible large language models are in at treating and analyzing all sorts of different data. While there was past findings on using AI in general to analyze things like MRI data, it was astonishing on how LLM can handle both the analysis and the discussion on MRI data. As you know, large language models are capable of discussion like a human being. And so this allows for much more flexible utilization of AI in things like diagnosis and just overall more knowledge on the health condition of the individual.
Interesting. And is that what you were expecting to find, or like how did your findings compare to your hypothesis?
So I was aware that LLMs were capable of helping a lot in medical fields. There were past attempts at things like X-rays or CT scans, but um, the one of my main worries when I first started this research was that Cine-MRI is a 4D data. It takes the 3D scan over temporal dimensions, so there's way more data to analyze. One of the challenges that data scientists and computer scientists talk about when dealing with high dimensional data is something called the curse of dimensionality, where the higher dimension you go, it's like exponentially harder for you to actually properly analyze and diagnose based on the evidence within the 4D data. So although I was a bit worried at first, I realized that AIs, given enough parameters and given enough training data and time, were more capable than I initially expected.
Interesting. Seems like a very interesting project and one that definitely is very important for the general public. So now we're going to shift to discussing your general experience with CCIR. So firstly, can you tell us what your experience was like in the program doing a high-level research project like this as a high school student?
Right. So I've never experienced such high level research. Of course, I'm a high school student, and most high school students wouldn't be able to research with like high skilled mentors and with so much resources available. So it was definitely a new experience for me. What I found really nice about CCR program was how friendly the mentors were at just in general and guiding you. I could email them at any given time and they would like respond in like just a few hours sometimes and definitely within a day. So it felt like I had someone that, you know, can always guide me through each time. And even though the research was independently performed and it was me going through a lot of hard work, I always had someone I can rely on whenever I felt like I hit a roadblock.
I think that's great. And then secondly, how was the research project process and experience compared to papers or projects that you've done in school before?
Right. I am a bit of just background information, but I'm a student in the IB program. So I am expected to do things like extended essay writing and things like independent research. But compared to past essay writing I've done even in rigorous IB courses, I've found writing and the expectation of the overall research paper and the quality of the research I'm giving to be much more higher than what I had experienced before. The mentor was really specific about how I should like care about a certain way I'm writing, certain way I'm even stylizing. It was a lot when I first started out, but after a while I got used to it, and now I feel really proud of how much I've grown as a researcher and as I guess, a scholar.
Great. It definitely is a very different experience to even if you're in the IB curriculum. My next question is asking about the aspect of mentorship. So for those watching, we really like to emphasize the aspect of mentorship in our program as opposed to the traditional teacher role, where our mentors don't just transfer information onto you as a student, but really help guide you through your own discoveries and learning process. So can you tell us what your experience was like with your mentor as you moved through the first teaching half of the course into the latter, more research-oriented half of the course, and how they helped guide you through that?
Right. So since since my course was one-on-one mentorship, it was literally that I can just pause his lecture at any given time and ask him the question directly, and there's going to be one-on-one interaction. And then sometimes it kind of felt like I was talking to a friend, and I can like ask him directly as if I'm like talking about, you know, daily things. Like I could like just like how you would ask like, oh, how was your day to your friend? You could ask like, what does this mean, professor? Or like, what does this mean, mentor? And it was it was very different from how it might be in just a classroom setting where there's like 20 or 40 different students around you and you have to raise your hand every time, and you have to like, the teacher might not even ask you like answer your question in depth, but it's different in one-on-one. Even if your mentor doesn't answer your question like in a satisfying way, you can just ask a follow-up question and you can just go on back and forth until you have a full understanding of the topic that you're interested in.
Yeah, definitely. And then just a few more questions for you. What was it like taking such a niche course compared to high school and many even undergraduate level courses that are much more broad? What was it like being able to, especially for you, being able to combine these very niche subjects into one?
Right. So, it was there's a lot of different aspects in researching very niche topic. There's good things like you kind of feel like you're like finding out new things. It's like treasure hunting even. Nobody else did this before, so you have this kind of feeling that you're like venturing out into the unknown. But sometimes it feels like you're like just lost, like you don't know what to do. And sometimes you have like such a niche problem that even your mentor doesn't know how to solve it. So in those cases, we actually like just combine, like we're one team or combine our efforts and try to find out through like hours in research. And I would just like email him, I've thought about this solution. Do you think this is going to work? And then he's going to be like, I think this part sounds great, but what if you change this aspect into a different method? And then I try that, and then it just goes back and forth. And even after the main lecture of the 1 hour lecture, um, you have this interaction for a week. And then by the time it's the next time you meet with the mentor on Zoom, you can like just do a feedback on what you have found, and you can like find out what to do like directly after that, and can just, I guess, keep on venturing out as if you're sailing a uncharted sea.
Nice. And then do you think this course has given you any insights into your future? Has it maybe informed or shaped how you think of your path moving forward at all?
Right. So, big thing that I realize is I've just gotten just more experience and knowledge with how I can write academic papers and how I might go about doing publications, which is definitely going to be an experience that will help me through my university life and even postgraduate life even. So I think that's going to be a huge plus to my future. And another thing is I think I got really close with my mentor too, and I found out all about a lot of different resource that I could take even after the CCIR program. So it's those know-hows, I guess, that's gonna help me through my academic life going forward.
Great. And then my last question for you, what would you say to someone who asked you what the value of doing a project or a program like this is, especially for a high school student?
It's definitely just the experience of doing it. There are things that you just can't learn just from reading it or listening to someone else do it. You have to actually go do the research. Um, Kind of niche thing for computer science. There are a lot of different, like even in aspects like coding, there's different shortcuts you can take or different um I guess tactics you can use to solve like a very specific problem. And these things you can't really find it from online courses or just textbooks. And you actually have to learn it from someone who knows how to do it. You have to learn it by doing it yourself. So it's those small things that you can only learn from hands-on activity that's definitely gonna be something that enriches your experiences.
Yeah, definitely. I think the hands-on experience is critical. So that brings us to the end of our interview. Thank you so much for chatting to me, and congratulations again on your nomination to our Spotlight series.
Thank you.